Hello, everyone. My name is George Moore. Welcome to this is being posted 1 week after, but another episode of Knights of the Round Table. I'm here with my two co-hosts, as usual, Dominic and Courtney.
Courtney and Dominic.
Dominic and Courtney?
No. Viewers agree, Courtney and Dominic.
No.
Well, good thing there's no viewers.
Okay, listeners agree.
It's because of you, George. Remember, you're the host.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's my decision.
No, it ain't.
It's my decision. It's our viewers' decision.
Exactly.
Hello.
Well, good thing the viewers don't have a decision because there are no viewers.
Okay, our listeners' decision. Actually, there are viewers because some of them are posted as videos. Thank you very much.
They don't see us. They see very badly, definitely not AI-generated versions of us.
Yeah, okay.
It's your boy, Dominic.
Just say hello and get it over with.
Hello. Get over with.
What's up?
You can...
Taxes.
You said get it over
One of
with.
those was very accurate. The other one was
Anyways,
completely inaccurate.
so what's the topic for today, George?
The topic for today's episode is humanity's greatest failures.
Blunders.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't
Mistakes.
matter, guys.
Not so well doings.
And we're going to talk about just things in general that we've failed to do, that we've not done good to do, or
Don't
that we
group
have
me
not
in
done.
with the failure humans.
We've all failed at some point.
Don't group me in with the failure humans.
That's why you're still living with us.
I am immortal. I am not part of you guys, so.
Yeah, okay.
The internet.
The instrument?
Sorry, I glitched out. The internet is.
I think the internet is not really a failure at all, actually.
Actually, no. I'm talking like for infinity, immortal. It is always within our grasp.
If you don't know the show and you're new to the show,
Sure.
well, why the heck are you watching this one and not the first one first, you weirdos? We're kidding, actually. It doesn't
Maybe
really
because
matter.
it's not New Year's, so they don't want to watch a New Year's episode? Or listen, Mr. Correction of watching.
I
Put your arm down, boy.
was about to say, yeah, listeners, there's no
Uh-huh.
viewers, except for that one guy who, for some reason, views, somehow. The guy from Under the Bridge. Anyway, so if you don't know our show, we just talk about random stuff, whatever we feel like talking about. This is completely leisure. Turn us on while you...
Eat cereal in the mornings or just feel like you're having a good time and you want to ruin your day or any of that.
Or if you're driving your car and you want to claim an insurance policy, because, we're
What?
probably so funny we'll make you wreck your car.
That or you just bang your head against the steering wheel and get a concussion. And
We're
you
kidding,
crash.
actually. Don't wreck your car
It's
while listening to this. We are not responsible for any damage caused.
Basically, if you want to listen to nonsense and realize that it's not just you or people you know, it's everyone else on the internet too. Then listen.
George.
Yeah, listen to us. We don't come out regularly, so don't expect us to. We come out when we feel like it.
Oh, you're finally coming out?
No, I don't feel like it.
Of the closet? George. I
just said
knew
I
you were
don't-
homosexual.
I just said I don't feel like it.
Okay, so what is this topic going to be for today?
I already told you.
Are we talking about weird inventions,
I already
like
told you.
cereal, olive oil, all the good stuff?
Well, first I'll start with a story while you guys are thinking of some stories.
I already know my stories.
I think
Mine's are simple. It's just one word.
Retard,
humans are-
George.
aliens.
I am the greatest mistake of them all. So, I'll take that.
Oh, yeah?
God, he thought of it, not me.
I'll take being the greatest mistake. I'm alright with that.
Nobody said anything about a mistake. We said failures, blunders.
I'm also the biggest mistake. So, yeah. Great being me.
Sure.
You guys, you just can't understand the mortal that I am. Dominic, you have no input?
Wait, this is my... Okay, Dominic. No, I do not.
Okay.
Wait, I might do. Let me...
You might do
I have information flowing through my tubers in my head.
Editors bleep Dominic.
I'm the editor, and I'm not going through and bleeping everything that he says through this entire
Hey,
thing.
not everything I said's bad.
Not forever, just the thing that he just said.
Tubers in my brain?
Yeah, you don't get any editing with me.
Dang.
Yeah,
I did the first few, but I'm not editing the whole
Humanities
thing.
Grace Fields. Let's see, yeah.
Anyways, wasn't talking about input on that. I was talking about input on me being the biggest and greatest mistake of all time.
You're the failure.
It's the same difference.
No, a
No.
mistake is something that shouldn't exist. A failure means you already failed life.
A mistake is something you learn from.
Oh, that makes George a failure because he didn't learn from it.
You can learn a lot from me.
Sure.
Gotta be a failure.
No, you know what not to do.
Oh, okay, I'll agree with
Yeah,
that.
just has his 2 children. Even though he's still 5.
No, I'm a 6'3" baby apparently, but we don't talk about that. So my story,
5'12".
my story has to do. If you're an American, pretty much anywhere, you probably heard of the Apollo missions, which landed the first man on the moon. And
Unless you believe it was a hoax.
yeah, there could be that.
Aliens did it.
Very easily could have been. Although, it's your opinion. Post in the comments whether or not Apollo was a lie and the government is actually watching us this whole time. But the Apollo missions, they were all about getting us to the moon because JFK, he was like, yo guys, by the end of my term, I think maybe, I think it was by the end of his term, he's like, I'm going to get us on the moon. And he tried for a little bit, but then he got assassinated. And so Vice President Jackson, I want to say, took over. And he wanted to continue that. He wanted to fulfill JFK's wish. So he told NASA, he was like, all right, guys, we gotta get this together. Gotta get on the moon. And the Apollo missions, at the end, were very successful. We made it on the moon. We won the space race, blah, blah, blah. But what a lot of people don't know is that it started out as a huge failure. And the main premise of it was NASA did not make their own ships. They didn't make their own shuttles. Their shuttles, which is the thing that you get in, like the person is in when the like the actual thing goes up, they were made by a separate company, and they'd always been made by the same company.
I'm not editing that out either. Just so you know.
What?
Do you not
So
hear
you're done,
or
George?
see it
Thank you
picking
for
that up?
interrupting.
You're welcome.
They were all made by the same company, and so eventually NASA, like, people were fussing because NASA, it's kind of unfortunate because it was this one company. Are you done?
Laugh.
Oh, I'm
laugh,
sorry. I haven't really talked the whole time, but go ahead.
Laugh, 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 laugh.
It was
You're
kind
not
of
gonna ask him if he's done when he's being more, like, obnoxious? Okay.
Obnoxious freaks. Continue on with your big Tupperware space shuttle.
So a lot of people were making big fusses because, there was only one company making them, and it was a government contract, and they felt that it should be more distributed. So NASA was like, okay, fine, we'll look for somebody else. And this story may be wrong. May not be 100%. So if you find something different or you know something different, correct me, please, because I'm telling this from memory. It's not going to be 100%.
He needs it.
But so they licensed somebody else to make their Apollo shuttles, and the people were all gung ho. They're like, yeah, let's do it. And so they started making the Apollo shuttles, and the problem was that they didn't have a lot of time because they wanted to get it done before the end of Jackson's term, and that doesn't give you a lot of time for testing. That doesn't give you a lot of time for anything. So they started pumping out these Apollo shuttles one after another, and they weren't good quality at all. And they were told that by like all of the astronauts and everybody said they were bad quality. But people were like, well, it doesn't really matter. There's nothing we can do. There's time. This all based on time. We don't have enough time. So then there was a tragic accident. They had been pumping these Apollo shuttles out one after the other, and the astronauts had been saying stuff about them, and they were going to test it, and they decided to just put almost pure oxygen into the chamber, into the cockpit where the astronauts resided when it went off into space. And everything was usually poorly made or poorly secured, and the inspections weren't that thorough. So 3 astronauts that were planned to go up on a flight, they do a complete run through. They're in their spacesuits, And they go in the space shuttle, and they decide to make it realistic, to make the door really hard to open, so that way, if they decided that they had to make them do a spacewalk, they'd have to take the amount of time that it would to open the door if they were in space. So they did this ridiculous thing where they put big bolts in the door that took forever to get out, and you had to open up a panel on the wall to get out the wrench that would do it. And it usually took about 6 minutes to do so. And so they're in there, and the people are watching the infrared, and one person says, something's going on. They look at the infrared, a tiny little speck of heat ignites under the left person's chair. And then, basically, the shuttle explodes with fire. And people are, they start to run out, but no, they get away from it because the shuttle is sitting on a humongous rocket with like 5.8 million gallons of fuel in it that could explode because of this fire. And they said, I believe, that the astronauts lived about 3 seconds. And it was on the comms. They were listening to the comms, and it started out, the one named White said, "Fire, fire." And they started running around trying to open the door. And the last thing they heard on the comms was, it was a professional one, I guess. He said, I don't remember exactly, but he said something along the lines of, there appears to be a fire in the cockpit. And then they were gone. They were like completely evaporated. And they inspected it, and under the chair there had been a completely loose wire which had ignited paper that they had left in there, netted to a wall. And when the paper ignited, it just whooshed with that oxygen that was being pumped in there. So that's a big failure. America's telling their citizens, we can go to space and land somebody on the moon in this time. And we fail on our own soil, in our own conditions, with 3 of our astronauts in our spaceship and our space shuttle, and we fail. I think that's one of the biggest failures. Because anybody could have stopped that. Anybody could have said, okay guys, this is ridiculous. This shuttle is not good. We can't use this. But they didn't. And because of that, we lost good lives of good astronauts who had families.
Well, anybody has families. When you go into the war, what do you expect?
They weren't in a war.
I'm just saying, as general, they had families. Of course they do. We all do. So it's not much of...
Not everybody has a family.
Actually, yeah. Some may not know it, but they do.
Yeah, maybe they just haven't found it yet.
Either way, I was just saying it to emphasize the point.
Your turn, Courtney.
Your turn, Dom. I already said mine. I said George.
Do something serious.
What you got, Dom?
Socks with sandals. Oh my gosh.
You go from that to that?
Oh, there was that blimp incident. Remember? Blew up in flames. Because the people weren't, let's put all this stuff that's flammable in this big balloon.
You talk about the Zeppelins when they used hydrogen instead of helium.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hydrogen? Yeah. Not flame. It's flammable. Do not use it in balloons. So that's mine. The blimp incident. When they used hydrogen instead of helium. If scientists were a little more smart, they would have, tried to experiment with it before they were like, let's pump this stuff into that big balloon so we can fly in the air. Nah, I don't feel like that's pretty safe. Who cares? Then, whoosh, there it goes down. And that's, children, why you should use HI instead of HY. Helium versus hydrogen.
Neither of those was right.
I'm doing it as a joke. H or H, George, which one do you choose? I choose number 2.
Helium is he. Hydrogen is ha.
H-E.
No, he said H-I and H-Y.
Oh,
Hydrogen was amazing and hydrogen HY.
Yeah, you'll learn that Dom does not know how to spell.
SPEL.
And George only halfway knows how to spell.
I'm the intelligent one, and the other two can fight for.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what
I don't
about
think
yours,
so,
Courtney?
George. Well,
Oh, another one, but I don't feel like I should say it.
why? What is it?
For those video game fans out there, Five Nights at Freddy's Dating Simulator.
Humanity's biggest blunder.
You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of this one game. Dead by Daylight fans. Dead by Daylight's kind of dying off, but I think the rating for Dead by Daylight is 3.9 stars. And they made a game called Hooked on You, and it was a Dead by Daylight dating sim. And I'm pretty sure the dating sim actually has better reviews and more revenue than the actual game itself, which is sad because the game itself, you can buy characters, you can buy packs, DLC, and whatever. And this game that cost $10 gave them more money. I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a failure, but
Tell me again how many hours your friend has on it.
I think my friend has 57 so far.
That's a lot of hours.
He's going for 100%. No, you want to talk about
going for 100%.
you want to talk about video game failures? I think
What about Courtney?
she hasn't come up with anything.
I was going to, and Dom said he had another one, and then you started going on to something else.
So George, you can wait your turn until
Yeah.
the lady goes by like a kind gentleman.
Let's see. I'd say probably when settlers came to America, and then a whole bunch of Native Americans and settlers as well had died off because of trading of diseases and other
Oh yeah,
viruses that people weren't used to.
the Columbian exchange.
And
Yeah, shut up.
let's see. Maybe scientifically trying to change things around in a lab and then we get COVID. Or maybe
Listen, the Colombian exchange with the diseases, it was the Colombians' own fault. They were just so hot. They were like
but
hot
the
seat,
Native
hot
Americans
pants.
didn't have to suffer because of it.
No, listen. Those Europeans were so hot in their pants. They came to the Americas and they were like, "Oh my gosh, those Native Americans!" And then they traded all these sexually transmittable diseases like syphilis and everything else. It's their own fault.
But that wasn't the extent of it.
George, they're not.
That was a lot of the
George,
diseases.
hepatitis B did not come from Colombia,
I didn't say hepatitis B.
but all these sexual-related diseases. Anyways,
was a
Courtney.
Another big blunder with today's people is, well, it didn't start with today's people. It started a long, long time ago when they started separating toys by gender in the aisles. Because I feel like that makes a lot of people nowadays feel like they have to pick a side, so to speak. And I feel like if that was never the case, people would be more comfortable in their own skin and wouldn't feel as confused or the pressure to conform to others. And there wouldn't be as much... Not really... Segregation isn't really the right word, but...
Sexism.
That's not really the right word I'm thinking of either.
Autism.
But,
Communism. Racism. Which one?
I think it's DEI.
no, that's not what I'm thinking of either.
It has to do with the gender stuff.
Whatever.
It's kind of like everything about gender stuff.
That's still not the word I'm thinking of. But, yeah. Or, I mean, slavery is another good blunder.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Or human trafficking.
That too. It still happens today.
We can't exactly call that a mistake.
Okay,
Because they knew what they were doing when they did that. You said a
can
mistake,
still-
something to learn from. They did not learn
you-
their lesson.
You can still know what you're doing and make a mistake. It doesn't mean you have to not know what you're doing.
If you make a mistake, you mistakenly do something, which means you don't mean to do it.
Well, you also said failure.
They
You
didn't
said
fail.
failure. I said blunder. Dom said mistake.
And a blunder is also something you don't mean to do. But
No.
Wandering shores.
Yeah, sometimes you do that so you don't have to do them.
I don't. That's Dom.
Uh-huh.
But back to the video game blunder topic, since we want to go with blunder and failure and mistake. God, let's get out the thesaurus at this point.
Hey,
I
Siri.
This one doesn't have Siri. It's a Cortana.
Hey, Cortana.
I don't have it turned on.
Hey, Cortana. Oh.
And it's not Cortana, it's got Copilot.
Oh, what the? Too many AIs. Another failure. AIs.
No!
Hey, Copilot.
They're still in the baby phase. They've got to train them.
Oh, yeah. Like me. Guys, you gotta train me. Otherwise, I'll become a mean
You
animal.
can leave. You can leave now.
Aw. But I just learned from my
You can leave.
mistake. Says the guy with 2 kids.
Are you
As
your
he,
blunder or your failure? Which one?
I'm blundering your shores. Ooh, ooh.
Anyways, the biggest video game mistake of all time is easy. It's always been easy, at least for me. It was the Virtual Boy. Because when you really think about if you were told to name the top 5 video game companies, in that list, there would probably be Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam. Okay, I'm not going to say Microsoft and Sony and all these other companies.
What about
Same
Apple and
brand.
Microsoft?
Apple is not. No. Apple does not do that. Google Play Store.
You first start with... Never mind.
If you name a list of
You
your
already
top
named your
5,
list.
I did not. I named 3, and you said
4.
You named more than 3. Listeners, go back and tell us how many he named.
4.
It's still more than 3.
It's one more than 3, boy.
It'd be Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, and I don't really know a 5th one, but Oculus, I guess.
What's around
Just
the-
VR in general.
That's meta.
I was trying to think of it, but I couldn't. That's why I said Oculus, because they have the Oculus. Those would be the top 5. There's not really that many others. I mean, there's
Quite a
some
bit.
There's quite a bit.
that would be on top.
Yes.
Name one.
Square Inks.
Never heard of them.
Yes, you have. I could tell you a whole bunch of games and you'd be like, oh yeah, I play that all the time.
Those are games, not game systems.
Play that all the time?
I'm talking about systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I play Square Enix all the time. That's my favorite game system. I'm not talking about like Activision. and
Steam's
those
not a
people.
game system, George.
Yes, it is. The Steam Deck. You never seen one? It is a system.
That's not what most people use when they use Steam. So if you're talking Steam Deck, that's not going to be in the top 5
So those are probably the top 5 things.
for George.
When you think of the systems, each one kind of goes more towards a specific area or group of people. Because there's a lot of people will say that they are an Xbox person or a PlayStation person. And a lot of people say they like VR more than they like console games, or they may like console games more than they like VR, or PC games, or whatever. The Nintendo has always been kind of focused as like a system for the whole family. They've always kind of done that as their little, like their scheme. And Xbox and PlayStation's been like more targeted towards individuals. Like an individual will play a PlayStation. You can play with multiple people, but they focus more towards having individuals do it. Whereas Nintendo's always kind of encouraged the use of multiple people at once in one area. And they technically had 2 flops, but one of them was on purpose. And that was the Rob, which I like the Rob. The Rob, it played a game with you on the NES, but that's kind of all it did. I think it'd like shoot spinning tops and stuff. But it was purposely a failure because they marketed it as a thing that would play any game with you, and it would do anything like, and at the time, that was huge. That was really cool. But it turned out it could only play one game, and that was all it could do. And it played really, really slow. So it wasn't really worth it. But the whole purpose was to introduce Nintendo to America. But virtual reality goes back, and Nintendo decided they wanted to try to make a virtual reality like thing. But they didn't pull it off. There was a lot of design issues. And you think of Nintendo's very huge. They've always been very big in the gaming market. And you don't expect them to have such a big loss. Because PlayStation, they never really released a system that was a huge flop. They may have lost money. I think they did on the first two, but it was never a huge flop. And it's the same with Xbox. They never really did that. So it can be kind of baffling to think about one of the biggest video game producers and video game system producers to lose as much money as they did and flop on as they did, but they didn't even do it on purpose. It was literally a complete accident. And the Virtual Boy was bad for a number of reasons. There weren't that many games to play on it. The only ones I can name are Rage and Mario Tennis and Wario's Land. I forgot about Wario's Land. The color, it only displayed red and black. Those were the only two colors it displayed. And their idea of virtual reality was not, if you moved around, it didn't like make you look around in the game. The game was not like first person or third person. It was, they took Mario games, they took the TV that you stare at from like 10 feet away, they made it smaller, they made it only two colors, they made it very bright, and they put it in front of your face. And this was the time whenever you turned on a TV, you could like hear the radiation coming from it. So it wasn't good. They called it the headache machine, and for good reason, because it caused bad headaches in people, because you were staring at this 1980 to 1990 TV, and it was right in your face, in your eyeballs. And it wasn't really virtual reality because you just had a regular Nintendo controller, like an NES controller in your hand, and that was it. So they basically just put the TV in front of your eyes instead of like how VR headsets do now, where they actually simulate the reality so you can look around and move around. I think it could have been bigger if they had taken more things into account, and if they'd gotten more games for it, and if they had figured out how to filter out all that 1990 TV radiation. But that was the biggest video game failure, because it completely...
Besides Dating Simulator for Financial Freddy's and Dead by Daylight.
We don't talk about that.
Balloon Boy.
Oh, other people can start talking now? Okay. So now that you're done dissing Nintendo, it was actually a pretty good feat for the time, despite only having a couple colors. And what do you think VR headsets are now? It's a screen in front of your face with controllers. Yeah, they might not have had the AR movement around, but for VR, it was still pretty good for the time.
You say now that VR is a screen in front of your face, when it's not. It's two.
It is.
It's two screens.
It's still a screen in front of your face.
And it's simulated movement and it's simulated reality. If virtual reality.
For the time and the technology, it was pretty good.
For the time of technology, you could have built one in your garage.
But you didn't.
You could have.
But you didn't.
I didn't, because I didn't exist.
Anyone could do any of it at any time, because that's why some people do it, because you can.
Now, if the virtual reality headset didn't exist now, you would not be able to build one in your garage, unless your garage was like the Apple Lab. Because if they didn't exist yet, it'd be a little bit different, because we wouldn't have 10K screens or 8K screens or whatever they are.
So if it didn't exist yet, which means it was pretty good for its time, because it didn't exist yet.
Because at the time, you could have built it in your garage.
No,
all you
you
had to do
couldn't
was
have,
take a
'cause it
small
didn't exist yet.
All you had to do was take a small plasma TV.
Since I wasn't done talking and you're interrupting.
Put Velcro
and you
straps
say
on
I
it.
do it.
Attach it to your
Everybody
head.
does.
No, they hear it.
Okay. Y'all hear what he does?
Attach it to your head. Grab a Nintendo. Strap that to your back. And then have the controller. And that's all you'd have to do. There would be no complicated process whatsoever.
And it was the innovation of the original idea of getting it up off the ground and starting it. You're like, hey, this would be something cool to do.
And it completely flopped and nobody thought about it again for 40 years.
Or people were marinating in it for 40 years trying to figure out what to do, because then there were other companies like Vive and other ones that just kind of came out of the blue with really great stuff. So, I mean, that didn't happen overnight.
Like China with toilet paper.
What?
Those companies brought technology from other technology hubs in other countries like India and Japan to America. So they didn't come out of the blue, they just came to America. America's very behind in that kind of technology. That's why I said Japan as one of them.
So again, since they were one of the first ones kind of saying, hey, let's do this, how is that a blunder?
Because they lost a lot of money.
So that's how you
They did not
learn, and you
sell
can't find success without doing failure in the beginning.
But that's what that was. That was a failure.
No.
We spent half the episode just arguing and arguing, back and forth and back and forth and back
Well,
and
I'm
forth.
What else you got, Dom?
Let me see. Humanities, failures. Oh
I
yeah,
don't know, y'all moved on to
Here,
video
this
games.
was a super secret.
Blunders.
This was a super secret actual topic for NASA before sending the first person
Super
to
secret,
moon.
then you can't be talking about it.
No, it was before they sent it out just recently.
Well, guys, I just saw a
few
black
years ago.
SUV pull up into our driveway.
Anyways, like NASA originally, before sending up the person to the moon, they were gonna nuke the moon because they wanted the entire world to see what America could do. They were originally
I remember that.
they had bomb and everything, but then they ended up just using the nuke for transportation.
Now they're thinking about nuking Mars.
Yeah, I know.
Literally. Because if you nuke Mars, then it'll stir it up and get it spinning
It's
around or whatever.
hypothesized that it'll do that.
That
They won't
or
know until they actually do it and see.
yeah, imagine if it just does that and then all those rock debris and like the orbits change and then we turn ice and then we get pelted down by Mars's debris.
You know, a really big blunder is all these scammers out there that's like, oh yeah, I can sell you a star or a piece of land on the moon for $50 million. Give me all your money. And people actually fall for it.
Like George. He bought stock for the moon.
I mean, you're not there, you're not laying claim to it. They aren't. They can't sell it to you. They don't actually own it.
Or when you go to Japan, it's like the people there are like, this unique American dollar, unique, and then it's like, it's for 50 yen. And it's like, this one guy, he went over there with like $50,000. He came back with like, I want to say $1.3 million because he kept just buying it and reselling it. It was funny because the dude thought that he was using unique money. Mean buying unique money. So yeah, Japan's, they are dumb.
Oh boy. Well, that's a very bold statement to make.
Well, for selling American money for cheaper than what it is.
Hey, any of you Japanese people listening, we should like contact each other. We could do like a mini episode where we do trivia. It's you
Between
versus
you and
Dominic.
Dom, yeah, and see who's really.
Oh,
Now, if the Japanese are dumb, Dominic, and you lose, boy, you must be one. Must be one.
I
golden
never said I
sheep.
was smart.
Trust me, with those comments, we know.
Hey, Japan's. I'm sorry. I'm also Asian.
Japan.
I love you, guy.
It's just stupid.
Sorry. I will sorry. I'll make you egg roll.
They don't even talk like that.
Please, Dom.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll make you fried rice. I don't know. It's cat dog. I'm sorry.
Dom.
Please.
You know, they do say that's the real reason they built the Wall of China. To keep all the cats in.
The cats? Is that what you just said?
You like Chinese fried rice, don't you?
Oh. What are you talking about?
No, they actually kept it. They built the wall in fear for the
Mongolians.
emperor. You know, who's like kept trying to seize countries. But, you know, we were over here like, ugh, never mind, these dudes are smelly.
That was the Chinese person from South Park.
What the heck? What? South Park?
The Mongolians. You talked really weird. Definitely not Chinese. No, Japanese people are way smarter than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you realize their AI already looks like real humans. And that was like 15, 20 years ago.
I don't know. Or didn't they get permission to, like, make human...
Oh, yeah. We don't need to talk about that.
Human scientific experiments.
Oh, speaking of human experiments...
Oh, no!
The first completely lab-grown, like, fetus or whatever has been successfully developed. Like, outside of the womb. I don't remember how old it was.
I don't like that.
But, yeah.
Didn't they have to put it down?
I don't know.
Probably. Well,
Mom was telling me about it the
no,
other day.
I'm pretty sure the law is that if a clone is actually successfully made and grown and developed,
Yeah.
that a human rights law protects it, and it, like...
No, as far as I know, it was like it couldn't live past a certain amount of weeks or months or something, because then it would be considered, like you said, like to have rights or something like that. So they, like, terminate the gestation, to put it nicely.
Well, guys, this has been a wonderful episode.
Oh, we're ending on that note? Okay.
Yep, I hope you enjoyed. If you want more of me, then you
Or
cannot
me.
find me anywhere. Don't
me.
open up the walls of your house. If you want more of Courtney, then you can go to YouTube, Cosmic Dragon, or Coco Bean.
With a K.
KOZMIKDRAGON.
I listened to that
Cosmic
one.
Dragon and Coco Bean with KOKO Bean. If you want more of us, and you want to listen to us in different places,
Oh, you don't want them to get more of Dom? You said you and me.
Guys, I'm sad.
Dominic said and me, so I just
Oh.
included.
Well, if you want to take Dom on in a challenge of wits, then
You're
please
gonna
let us
win.
know.
Yeah, you can contact us. We'll totally do that.
You educator.
We'll do a Zoom episode.
Are you smarter than a
seriously.
6th to 8th grader?
But only if you're trying to...
No, are you smarter than a 6th or 8th grader? Come here now, and you'll beat Dominic.
Well,
for his grade is 5th level.
Man, he's real confident.
Okay.
Anyways, if you want more of us, you can go to iHeartRadio, Spotify, Audible, YouTube, Odyssey,
Amazon, I think.
Amazon Podcast.
Everything except for iTunes, because
They suck.
Apple's retarded, and in our opinion,
We don't actually mean that.
We
a little
mean
bit,
it.
but-
We mean it dearly, with passion.
it's our opinion.
It's-
We're not stating facts here. It's opinion.
And my opinion is that Apple Music sucks. Unless they want to do a sponsor deal, and they're the best thing ever.
And yeah, and then maybe they can fix the account so I don't have to make a new one and
You guys can finally
be
listen to
all
us
retarded. Yeah,
in the places that you want to listen to us.
exactly.
Anyways, this has been an interesting episode. Been kind of all over the place, but that's all right.
Cough.
I'll hear you in the next one. Toodles.
You'll hear them?
I'll
That's
hear
kind of
them.
creepy.
I will. Well, I can't see
Bye
him because I'm
bye.
in the wall, so I can't really see him. Donick, it's not a touch screen. I don't know what you're trying to do.
He's trying to put fingerprints on my screen.
Oh, it's not a touchscreen, guys.
Okay, bye.
Oh, it's I got stay.
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
Mongolians.
Mongolians.
Y'all are retarded.
Mongolians.
Mongolians.
Oh.
Please take no offense to these two idiots.
And the stinky Europeans.
Mongolians.
Okay,
Bye bye, Aztec Empire.
Mongolians.
bye.
Those Mongolians.
Beep.
Retards.
You can end this at any time. This is your fault. Those Mongolians. They have no honor, breaking down the Chinese walls.
Are you
Interesting
dead?
fact. They brought criminals from their prisons for the Chinese wall, and what they did is they purposely put them inside the wall to make them work, and then they let them die there. So yeah, there's just a bunch of dead bones. There's just a bunch of
You're
bones
just
lying
now
inside the wall.
learning about all the dead bodies that makes up the wall.
You know
That's
that
part
it took
of the structure of the
2,000
wall.
years to build the Chinese wall?
Did you know that we should have ended the episode like 20 hours ago?
We should have.
They know that.
She can end it at any time. We've already done the outro.
Okay, bye.